Hello, podcast fans. Adam Carolla here. I'm leading the fight against patent trolls who are threatening this medium. It's not about me. It's about the podcast you're listening to right now. If I go down, this show could be next. Visit fundanything.com/patent troll for more information on how you can keep podcasting alive. Thank you and mahalo.
When shopping for car insurance, consider this. Geico has been saving people money on car insurance for over 75 years. So if you're serious about savings, it's simple. Go to geico.com. After 75 years, they know how to save you money.
Put your name on it. Just put your name on it. That's all I say. Be a man or a woman. Put your name on it.
Well, I'd like to hear about it, potheads.
How the fuck you gonna know how to be great if you don't study greatness? Look at the game tape.
Donuts.
If you want a battle, it's either that you will or you won't.
You know, you're not a bad-looking man, Mr. Gals.
But you are, Blanche. You are in that chair.
There's something wrong with us. Something very, very wrong with us.
Hey, man!
Talking to your thingy there.
Hello. Hello, is this thing on?
Hello. Carol Leifer, hello. I'm Larry King. I'm with Carol Leifer. We're holding mics old school. No mic stands on the More Stories podcast. We hold them with our hands.
I like that.
It's fun, right?
It reminds me of I'm going to do a set.
You asked me if you should have a podcast, and after reading your book, How to Succeed in Business Without Really Crying.
Yes.
Lessons from a Life in Comedy. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, look, I got a lot of people that come on.
Okay.
And they promote stuff, and I go, it's great. And then every once in a while, I say...
You're lying.
No, I don't lie. I just won't say, like, you have to go get this.
Okay, here it comes.
Yeah, this is a book you have to get.
Love it.
Anybody that loves stand-up comedy, and that's probably why you're listening to the podcast, because you like stand-up comedy, this is like the actual exact perfect stand-up comic, like the journey, the hell gigs, the great, the highs, the lows, the nuts.
Right.
The bolts. And
wow,
I thought I was
very touched,
thrilled.
Jay.
It's true.
Thank you.
And the listeners know that there's been many times I've been like, so you have this, and then I just move on.
Right.
I plug it. But How to Succeed in Business Without Really Crying with Carol Leifer is a great book. And
thank you. Thank you, my friend.
You're welcome. And I wouldn't say it unless I meant it. But you were asking me if you should do a podcast.
Yes.
Well, why? Look, I did a podcast because I saw other comics like playing bigger rooms than me.
Uh-huh.
And it was a lot of it was just because people listened to their podcast. And then Kevin Smith, he has basically like a record label. He's like the MCA of podcasts.
Oh, really? I did not know that.
Oh, it's great. He's got like 10 different podcasts under one label. And he like took me under his wing, and he explained to me, like, if you do a podcast, when you get within like 100 miles of someone's town, if you keep giving them the free stuff, they'll come see you do stand-up comedy. So then it's true. I'll play a place like Edmonton, like,
right.
I don't do any press. I
yes,
just show up.
I know it's in Canada.
It's full. You are right. First question underway with the lovely
So you do it with Kevin Smith?
I did, and then I wanted to do it by myself.
Okay.
And then he was like super nice, and he actually like helped us get it all autonomous and everything, and it was great.
Great.
And so to answer your question that you asked me off mic, do I like it? I love it because you're a comic that I've always loved, and I would never be able to like just sit down and chop it up because our paths wouldn't. Well, they haven't so far, and we've both been doing it, 30 years each probably.
Mm-hmm.
So
yes.
Yeah, like I get to sit with you and championship fighters and musicians that I've always loved. So for that, it's great. But also like for telling the old stand-up stories that these listeners really seem to love. Like the old stand-up stories, old Saturday Night Live stories. Like they love it.
And I love that in your book.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, you brought it up. So
Okay.
people that like my book as the
Yes.
Saturday Night Live book.
I did.
Your book is, I'm not washing your balls. Your book is like in all the ones I've read, the Carol Leifer book, How to Succeed in comedy business, like the play, without really crying.
Mm-hmm.
It's the one I like the most.
Good. I like that. I like that, and thank
There's
you
no
so
lulls.
much.
It's all great, and you're really honest. Like you go into some like dark places.
Yeah.
Don't develop a drinking problem, which
right.
I've been there, done that.
You have, really?
Yeah,
well, I'll have to hear about your drinking problem, and I'll tell you about mine.
Well, you go first, because they've heard mine many, many times.
Okay.
We're well into the 200s here on this episode.
All right. Well, what happened
Sorry,
was...
Carol, we're out of time. Carol Leifer had to succeed in business, not really crying. Old gag.
I'm going to tell you about my drinking problem now. What happened was, as a comic, at the beginning, it's tough because you don't know what you're doing yet, and you have to learn by failing, and it can become too much. So I started to find that if I had a glass of wine before I went on, suddenly the fear went away, and I felt more confident, and I felt better about doing my sets. I wasn't scared. And what happened slowly but surely is I would time it. I would get to the club maybe an hour to have a glass of wine. And then a little later that became get to the club maybe an hour and a half ahead of my set, because one wine had now become two. And I knew something it was starting to be bad, but I didn't know it was really bad till I did a gig with Paul Reiser at a college. And it was in Vermont. And we had to leave from New York. And these are the days of maps, young people. And we didn't know where we were. We got there late. I was supposed to open. Paul was supposed to close. And we got there at 8:15 for an 8 o'clock show. I brought my little airline bottle of wine to drink before I went on, and I didn't have time to drink it. And I turned to Paul and I said, "You got to go on first." And he said, "What's up?" And I didn't. Just that look between comics and between old friends, I just said, "You got to go on." And he looked at me and he got the desperation in my eyes and he said, "I'm going to go on." And he went on. You know, it's so funny too. I wrote about this in my book. I called him to say, "Paul, did you remember that night? You know, I had to drink some wine before I went on and, you kind of covered for me." He totally, didn't remember and didn't know that I had a drinking problem. So, c'est la vie there.
But he knew his friend needed help.
He did know his friend needed
the
help.
The unspoken language between comics that we'll get into later, because there's another whole chapter about reading rooms and stuff that you're talking about that I loved.
So, my theory after that, I knew I had hit rock bottom. I mean, this is not good.
It's a pretty cushy bottom and all. You know, I've been to meetings where guys were like blowing their dentists.
Yes.
I think having Paul Reiser open for you, that's you got off easy as far as the bottom.
I did, but I knew this is not a place I wanted to be. Timing my wine from an airline bottle to get loose to perform. And then I just had to relearn performing again. I mean, I drink now for fun, but I would never drink before going on stage.
So you didn't have to go to a program?
I didn't have to go to a program, but I just had to, like any comic does, you got to face the fear, you got to live with the fear, and use the fear to fuel you. You know, that's the other thing I didn't know. You know, I did the great laugh off of 1980, okay? Where Eddie Murphy, the big story is he came in last, I came in fourth. It was like Rick Overton, Mark Schiff, and Steve Middleman won. I watch that now on Showtime, Jay. I am blasted. I drank about a bottle of wine before I did that set.
High stakes. You were nervous.
You said it.
Did you ever, when you were on stage, with me, I knew the drinking was a problem when there was, there'd be two words I couldn't say on stage. I would slur it a little, and then I got in my own head, did they realize I just slurred that word?
Uh-huh.
And then it's hard enough to do stand-up. Your monitor is so high,
right.
Why is the waitress over there? Why are these people late? Why are they leaving? Why aren't they laughing?
Yeah.
Why does this guy keep staring at me? Why is he in the front?
Yeah.
And then once you add on to that, do they know that it's like when you get high, and you're does everybody here know that I'm high?
Yeah.
To have that on stage was the biggest kiss of death.
So did you start to drink because you were afraid when you went on stage?
No, I drank because I loved being high.
Uh-huh.
I used pills because I loved getting high, and I used to drink 3 bottles of NyQuil a day because I just loved getting high.
Wow.
Yeah, I've received many a welcome chip. I've cobbled together a few, but I never. What you said, I think you put it best, is you do have to face the fear and you do have to walk through it. But it took me when I met my wife and actually got happy and kind of still, is when I realized how glamorous and glorious the quiet is. And because usually that's when I would panic. And I used to just slam, like, joke. Like I was just a machine.
Right.
But it was awful. When I look back, it's like, there's a CD that I had that when I had them all in storage in this garage that we call Fake Mustache Studios to make it sound very efficient and cool and fancy. I had a whole thing of CDs, and I actually threw them away. And my wife said, well, you could still sell them. And I read, like, the track list on the back was like, it was literally like eating ass, getting fucked by a dolphin. Like, it was all like shitting your pants.
Yeah.
Like, it was just like mortifying. And I was like, this is not anything I want to sell at a merch table after a show, as I shake like a mother of three's hand that goes, I loved you on The Ghost Whisperer. And I'm like, here, buy it. There's 10 minutes about eating ass. You'll love it. I was like, this is awful.
Yeah. No, and I have the same thing too, because you think when you're drunk on stage that you're killing. And I, look at sets now and I was like, it's just sloppy.
Yeah. What I liked, Mo, I've always liked your stand up, and you're one of those people that put to bed like the whole, well, are women as funny as men? And it's like, you're one of those people that we can just put it to bed. Like when I was watching comedy when I started, you were one of the comics I always watched, because you had stories that I knew had really happened to you. A lot of guys did like bits, and they would do like, there's always the airline food and the stuff and I knew there was garbage, and I knew there was a mine that everybody went to and got the same minerals. But then you would tell stuff, and they were so quick, and I wondered how you remembered it all, because I know. All right. I know my favorite Carol Leifer joke.
I love to hear it.
When on a first date, he took me to IHOP, and the crowd goes, you already left. You know the joke. I do. And you go, no, that's not the bad part. He ordered chicken parmesan.
It was veal parmesan. Yes, thank you.
And I remember at like 17 years old going, that's the perfect joke. Because it really happened, and it is disgusting. It says more about a human being.
Right.
A guy that goes, first of all, do you want to go to IHOP? You give him the pass on the IHOP. And the fact that he goes, hey, I'm trying to veal parmesan. Because that's what at the House of Pancakes.
Right.
Why not spread your wings a little bit? Who was that? Paul Reiser?
No, it wasn't. You know what? I don't know if it was even an actual date. I just always remember going to IHOP and thinking, if somebody brought me here to order veal parmesan, would be really rank.
Yeah, but it's also like serial killer behavior. Like, I remember Mark David Chapman. He used to come and sit in the booth and order veal parmesan at the IHOP every Tuesday and Friday. Like, it is weird.
Right.
But I actually remember, like, that's like seared into my head of like when I was molding my own comedy words.
Well, I'm really complimented that you like that, because, I'm sure like me, any comic, you think when you come up with a joke like that and you do it, you think like, maybe nobody will laugh. Maybe it'll be like, okay, that was just you. And then when people laugh, it's like, oh, I wasn't the only person thinking that. And that's a very nice feeling about doing stand-up.
How about, I've just discovered this, and I'd like to pick your brain, of like, there's some things you say in your act that you don't really think are particularly funny. But every time you do it, everybody laughs louder than you think. And then like a week later, they'll like randomly tweet like one sentence from that particular thing. And you're like, wow, like this thing has legs, and like it's a throw-in to me.
Right.
And there's other things you find so precious, and you just keep peeling the onion, like waiting for it to explode.
Yeah.
And you're like, there's no rhyme or reason.
I know, but that's what I love about doing stand-up, and I always have. I always say to people, I think, would you agree the odds are of like 10 new jokes, maybe 3 will work. 3 wind up staying in your act. I mean, you just never can predict it.
Yeah, I think I have a higher batting average of going, like, I won't take it up unless I'm sure. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, but the 3 out of 10 I think of make it to the stage. So then the percentage are still the correct. Yeah. But rare do I get up there and go, oh wow, I thought that was funny, and it's completely eating it. Like, I mean, I did I'm so excited to go.
Right. I did an observation that I thought, this is, this will be nothing, maybe. And I just went up on stage and I said, because it had happened to me at the mall, like when you go to the mall and you see that an escalator is broken, is it just me, or are you just thinking like, what the fuck is up with this mall? You know what I mean? Like I get
This mall sucks.
ballistic in my head. Like
the
who
whole
has
mall.
a fucking nerve not to have this escalator work? You know, is it Amish day at the mall? What the fuck is up with this? And people laugh at it so much, and it just makes me like
You blame
realize
the whole mall.
I get so ripshit about it. I can't even describe it, Jay. It's like, you know, now I have to walk up these giant spindly steps
Or find
to
the
get to
elevator in
Cinnabon.
Macy's next to the water fountain.
Yeah.
Creepy places where they keep old mannequins.
Yeah.
I love so. I want to tell people to buy your book and go to jmohr.com and use the Amazon banner. By the way, Chris Rock, Jerry Seinfeld, Sarah Silverman, Jimmy Kimmel, Judd Apatow, Whoopi Goldberg, my girl, J.J. Abrams, Bill Maher, all these people just singing the praises on the cover. And Larry David, Mark Cuban, owner of the Dallas Mavericks, and Joan Rivers.
And turn the book over and you'll see a whole
Lives
more
up the street
blurbs for your entertainment.
It's fantastic. Steve Martin. So look. Don't worry about what they say. I'm telling you guys, this book is like really great, and I read it, I reread it, and I think it's fantastic. But go to Amazon at jmohr.com. See, I have an Amazon banner I was telling you.
That is so cool.
And it goes to my kids' college. One guy emailed me and said, I think it's kind of shitty that you tell us that it's going to your kids' college. And it was Matty Boy who was sitting where you are, Corey, and he goes, I knew that was going to happen. And the guy goes, it's kind of like, I don't know, he took umbrage to the fact.
Why?
I don't know, but I thought it was like, I don't know, if you want to help the podcast,
yeah,
you can put my kids through college.
That's
and I can spend my money on like gear and microphones and, you know, voice recorder apps on my
As
phone.
I sit looking at your spanking new Range Rover.
Hey, no, that's a lease, sweetheart. Come on. I don't have any money. It's all tied up in cash. But if you go to jmohr, don't even have Amazon on your toolbar up here. Have jmohr.com up here. And then click there. Go to Amazon. Click the Amazon banner, and then I'll read what they bought. They email me. Same site.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
T-shirts, Amazon banner.
Because Amazon has my book for the cheapest price out there. And I'm not just saying that because you have a banner.
It's mighty whitey. This guy's name is Mike Johnson. That's easy. JJ, just use your Amazon banner at jmohr.com to buy 2 windshield wipers. Way to go big. 2 windshield. Way to stay alive, though.
Nice,
right?
yeah.
He's practical.
Right.
He's a practical young man.
Yeah, he didn't go to Manny, Mo, and Jack.
No, he didn't. He went to Jay,
That's
Carol,
right.
and Corey.
Your automotive specialist.
Damn straight. I went to the Amazon banner at jmohr.com to buy 2 windshield wiper arms and blades and a thermal clutch fan for a broken down 68 Galaxy. This sounds like a ride you and Paul Reiser took to Vermont.
Is this Jay Leno writing in under a
pseudonym? I'm having fixed up. Since I'm a man-child with no real responsibilities, also ordered a new hard drive. Oh, this guy went big. Okay. Also ordered a new hard drive and battery for my laptop. Hope it helps with your kids' college fund, and you can push them towards a STEM field. Speaking of which, you should try and get Neil deGrasse Tyson on More Stories, a.k.a. the best podcast ever. My man Mike Johnson, I don't know what town you live in. You didn't put it, but I really appreciate it very much.
Yeah,
and for everybody
he's
else.
a fan.
And Neil deGrasse Tyson, my word, I'd love to have an astrophysicist on here. And I want you to know this, Carol Leifer.
Yeah, yeah.
This is not an ad.
Okay.
This guy's dad, Nick Flame, is his real name. His dad had lung cancer, pulmonary fibrosis. He's on oxygen, and he's taking care of his dad.
Yeah, yeah.
And he got his dad. He always listens to the podcast, and he emailed me at jmohr.com. And then his dad somehow, in poor health, got into it. And every Monday. Look, you can see right here. Now, every Monday, my father calls me at work and says, if I'm coming over to, quote, listen to the cast.
Oh, the cast.
It made me cry to see him.
Oh, my God.
And then I said, well, what's your dad's name? I'll give him a shout out. And I think I actually fucking deleted it. Here, no, I got it.
What is it?
Doc Flame.
Oh, Doc Flame.
Carol Leifer, meet Doc Flame.
Doc Flame, you're hearing me on The Cast.
The Cast. Hey, Doc. How you doing,
that.
Doc? Poor, maybe
Isn't
poor
that
health.
nice? Look
great,
at you.
but
Changing
fantastic
lives,
spirits.
putting your kids through school.
You opened for Sinatra, so we got to jump just right into that.
Yeah.
First of all I've ever heard about Sinatra is mean SOB, terrible human being.
No.
In your book,
yes,
How to Succeed in Business Without Really Crying, which you guys got to get on Amazon because Carol Leifer just told you cheapest price. and I'm putting my name on it. It's my favorite stand-up comedy book.
Okay.
And there's a whole chapter about opening for Sinatra.
Yeah.
Please walk us through it.
Okay.
Carol Leifer.
Well, since these are lessons, every chapter is a big life lesson and a lesson I learned from the experience. I tell this story, Jay, in the context of out of the deepest valley of one's career can come the greatest moment. Because, as happens through a long stand-up career, I was in the shitter, okay? I was having the worst gigs ever. Terrible. I met this agent who was like, come to my office, bring a list of your gigs, how much you made, and we're going to go through it. He was looking at my list, scoffing, like, oh, you got this at, Chuckles? I could double that. Oh, you got this for Teehees? Easy, triple that. Okay, he promised me the world. Cut to 6 months later. Literally, Jay, working on the Jersey Turnpike, comedy night at Ground Round Restaurant, okay, on the Turnpike.
Peanut shells on the floor.
Peanut shells on the fucking floor. You can't hear you over the din of the peanut shells. I would call him and go, we'll call him Shecky. Shecky, what is up? You promised me the world. I'm on the Jersey Turnpike in a Ground Round restaurant. He said, Carol, I'm working on you opening for Frank. And I was like, Frank Stallone? Because this is not good. This is not working. Lo and behold, 3 months later, I'm working on a cruise ship. And in those days, if you got a phone call on a cruise ship, one of your parents croaked or your house burnt down. It was Shecky to say, you are going to open for Frank Sinatra in Las Vegas. He wasn't lying. He had a very distinct line to Jilly Rizzo, who was Frank Sinatra's manager, and he got me to open for him. I worked with him in Vegas for a week. Frank Sinatra was a gentleman among gentlemen. He would bring me out every night for a bow, which was amazing because so many acts at the time would not even put their opening act up on the marquee.
So they introduced Frank Sinatra. He's like, the autumn wind. Hold on a second. And
he would open with the summer wind, but no.
And he would bring you back.
He would walk out and go, before I start, let's bring out my opening act, Carol Leifer. And he'd bring me out. And then he said some cryptic things, okay? One time when he brought me back out, he said, that was Carol Leifer. She's big. She'll knock you over for the phone. I have no idea what the fuck that meant.
Because you're a tiny lady.
She'll knock you over for the phone.
110. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah. And then he said, that was Carol Leifer. I wish my mother had been that funny. I wouldn't have had to work so hard. The summer wind came rushing in. Yeah, so it was easily, for a 37-year career in show business, I started so young. It's amazing that it's the top of the food chain. Frank Sinatra, gentleman, would credit the songwriters of his songs before he would sing them.
Yeah.
It was the best.
He is Frank does do that. Like when you listen to Live at the Sands, he goes, "This is a lovely song by Rodgers and Hart."
Yeah.
And I want to thank you so and so for arranging it. Like he did give credit all the time.
Absolutely.
But to bring you back on stage like that like when you're on stage opening for Frank, you're uncomfortable. Then you settle into it, and then you're like, "Wow, I'm like kicking ass. They really like me. This is great."
Yes.
But then when you're out, it's kind of like being done with an acid trip, and you're done. And then he pulls you back out.
He pulls you back
then
out.
You're more out of your element than when you were introduced in the first place.
Yeah, but you know what? He is a show business pro because he knows that before he starts his show, it's kind to acknowledge the person who opened for you. I mean, look, this is coming at a time my friend Bill Mohr opened for someone in Las Vegas who would not even put his name up on the marquee with hers. I can't say who it is, but her talent is supreme.
Oh, I was right? Yes. It was really, you won't say it, but I would guess Diana. I was like, it's probably Diana Ross.
You did guess, yeah.
My wife said Diana Ross when she was a little girl. My wife was a little girl. Diana Ross wasn't a little girl because that would involve time travel.
Yeah.
My wife was a little girl, and her mom took her to see Diana Ross, and she goes, I go, how was it? I'm thinking it would be like one of those amazing Motown concerts.
Right.
She goes, she just stood still and kind of lip synced, and then guys would pick her up by the elbows and carry her to different ends of the stage and set her down. And I go, I saw Peggy Lee at the Hollywood Bowl, and they did it because she was hammered and old.
Right.
Like, what was the Diana Ross thing? And she goes, to this day, I don't know. Like, she
that's
was
wild.
Perfectly healthy and fine. But the guys would come and they would grab her by the elbows and, like, set her down. My baby.
Guys from Mayflower Movers.
Yeah, Starving Students moving Diana Ross.
But you know, I also learned another great lesson opening for Sinatra, and I'll tell you what it is, Jay, because you have so many comedy fans. You know, I was very scared to do this gig because it's Frank Sinatra. I called Larry Miller, the great comedian, because he had opened for Frank, and I said, I'm scared shitless of this gig. He's like, you got to erase your mind, because what you have to go out there thinking is, Frank, you know, you're Frank's girl. You got to go out with that confidence, not like, hey, here I am, the girl comic before Frank. You got to go out confident that Frank chose you. So when I went out on stage every night of my appearance with him at Bally's Casino, I opened my set with, I was so thrilled when Mr. Sinatra asked me to join him here at Bally's. And I got to tell you, Jay, then I was kind of off and running because the audience looked at me like, oh, okay, Frank asked her to join him.
Frank's gourmand. It's all right.
Yeah, so it really, and a lot of times when I have a gig now where I feel a little uncomfortable or weird, I use that as I was so glad that fill in the blank asked me to be here with them, because it puts the audience at ease knowing that, oh, okay, you're part of the package. I get it.
Like when you're opening for Eddie Griffin.
When I am opening for Eddie Griffin,
yeah.
I do
I'm
say,
so glad
I'm so glad that Mr. Griffin was kind enough to ask me.
Weirdest confluence of comedians that could possibly happen. What I loved about the book, How to Succeed in Business Without Really Crying, is that each chapter is like a life lesson. And I don't know why more comics. I had Buddy Hackett. He was my guy. Mm-hmm. Like, he was my friend, and he was like a father figure. And I met him after I knew everything. The guy was hot shit. And he just emptied me out and then just filled me back up with the old school stuff. You know, like, don't walk to the microphone, walk in front of the microphone, wave to everybody, shake a hand, then go behind the microphone, then everybody goes behind with you.
Ah, interesting.
Weird stuff like that. Yeah. And I was just in Denver, and some guy goes, hey, man, I was at the meet and greet. He goes, I noticed you didn't walk to the mic, man. That was really cool. Like, just from here, the podcast.
Wow.
And so what I like about your book was your peers, like already we've done, you know, Bill Maher, Larry Miller, like all of your peers are like my favorite comics. And I can't imagine how exciting it must have been. Because now comics, it's social media. Nobody really shares. And I always say, like, why don't comics all retweet each other's dates? You're never in the same town.
Right.
And we would have club owners by the balls because we'd all be selling tickets, vouching for each other. And there's like only 4 guys that I know where we just continually just retweet. And like now 5, you.
Right.
I'll retweet anytime you're playing anywhere that I see. I'll just retweet it.
Fantastic.
But with you like this crew of comics, one generation ahead of me, like Bill Maher and like you said, Paul Reiser. It just seems like you guys were all, and from everything else that I've ever read, you and Paul was just here, you guys were all like just, this sounds so stupid and simple, but you'll know what I mean. You were just all there for each other.
Absolutely.
When did all the backbiting and the Facebooking and the tagging and the retweeting and the shit, like when did the snark, when did that all happen?
Maybe that happened.
It was on your watch.
Yeah. I think probably with social media, because I can't even imagine what that would have been like coming up with that. You know, I mean, coming up in the system kind of with that. I just know that, you know, my generation, we would watch each other, you know. Jerry Seinfeld was the MC at the comic strip the time that Paul Reiser and I auditioned. You know, Paul got me into it because he was my boyfriend in college. He was the funniest guy I'd ever met. We're in a theater group, and he told me about these clubs. And I say to him still today, like, I don't think I would have ever known about these clubs had it not been for you. And Jerry was the MC that night. He passed us on the audition along with Rich Hall. We were the trilogy of new regulars. I went on to Catch a Rising Star. Larry David was the MC. I mean, it was a really rarefied time. And what was so great about it was, you know, it wasn't unusual to say to people, will you watch me? You know, will you watch me and give me some feedback about what is working and what's not? And people would do it. It wasn't like, you know, sort of trip you up or mess you up. It was like to really help each other. I mean, I tell a story in the book about how I was having trouble with guys heckling me. I could always set my watch to it. If I saw 3 or 4 young guys walking in as I was waiting at the bar to go on, I knew that they would be giving me shit. And I couldn't control it, and I didn't have good comebacks, and I had a guy comic watch me. And of course, they heckled me and they pummeled me. And I came off. I said, what am I doing wrong? He said, you're missing the Achilles heel because you're not a guy. You don't know what it is. And I'm like, what is it? He said, when they're heckling you, what you need to say to them is, so where are the dates tonight, guys? What, are they parking the car? Because it was like, okay. And then I would do that, and then they would shut the fuck up because I got them where it hurt.
Yeah.
You're here alone.
3 dudes.
Yeah.
Sausage party.
Right.
The sausage. You got heckled by Stephen Hawking, according to the name one of your chapters.
Oh, yes. Well,
now, it's hard to believe that a man that discovered that there's something smaller than an atom, and he named it a quark.
Yes.
And we all said, we'll call it a quark, too, because you're the smartest man in the world.
Yep.
You're not ambulatory.
Right.
You can't talk without a computer, and you eat and drink through a straw. But you're much smarter than all of us, and we all accept that. So if you heckle Carol Leifer, I got to think maybe he had some merit.
Well, as you know, calling him Stephen Hawking in my book was just a metaphor.
Don't ruin it for them, Carol.
All right. Well, I was being heckled by a guy.
Him actually, giggles. In Des Moines, Iowa,
I know.
You, son,
I know.
Into his little keyboard.
Well, it was a little electronic voice.
Show
and I
us
thought,
your intents.
Yeah.
Awful.
And I thought this guy was, oh, that's really funny. Your little funny Star Wars voice, your little voice machine in the back. Yeah, that's good. Okay. So I started to go at him about that.
Oh, he really did. He had one.
He had a voice box because he had throat cancer.
And what did you think he was doing? Did you think he just had brought it from a
yeah,
novelty
I thought he was
store?
just fucking with me.
Carol Leifer. You really?
Yes.
Wow. That's the man.
Yes.
But he was still heckling.
So
fuck him.
I know.
And his voice box.
Yeah.
And his throat cancer.
That's right.
I'm not saying he should get it. It's not
I'm not saying he shouldn't have gone into remission.
I'm not saying. Who said metastasize? No one. That's all. He's not a Hitler. He's a man with an opinion of my acts. So, is there ever any recovering from that?
Well, the good recovery is being able to write a book and tell these stories that at the moment were so humiliating and soul crushing that you can kind of see them in a comedic light this many years later. But
yeah, but he's not alive to read the book.
Well, probably from dying of natural causes, Jay, because it was so long ago.
I like to think he died of the elements.
He did.
My wife
windstorm.
My wife and I couldn't. We knew Ozzie. This is 7 years ago. We knew Ozzie Davis had died. We're laying in bed one night, and we couldn't fucking wrap our minds around. Even though it happened that day, we're like, "What did he die of again?" And we're like, we couldn't figure it out, and so we settled on the elements. And we just pictured him sitting on a bench in the snow and not getting up, and then finally it got him, the windstorm, as you said. I want you to talk a lot about this book and your other stories. The Richard Belzer one, I like every name in this book, and I want to also ask you about the sea change with the snark again. These people are the reason you're listening to this podcast for free, and listen to this. We're coming right back, so seriously.
Stay tuned.
We love hearing from you, so keep on sending your tweets and comments. We do read every one of them, and don't miss the chance to take our very important listener survey at podcast1.com. Your responses will help us to make this show the very best it can be. It'll only take about 3 minutes of your time, and you'll get the instant gratification that comes with knowing you helped us out. You can tell us how you really feel about the show. Help us get to know you better. Do it now. Take the survey at podcast1.com. That's podcast1.com, and keep those tweets and comments flowing.
Opening weekend of the NFL regular season. Dun, 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 dun. Last chance to join FanDuel before opening weekend, people. Millions of people are playing fantasy football, but can you win real cash this weekend in your league? Look, play fantasy football at FanDuel.com and win tons of money. How about this, cat? There's this kid from Detroit. His name is Chris Prince. He won $656,000 using FanDuel.com. FanDuel.com is the leader in one-week fantasy football leagues for real money with immediate cash payouts, no season-long commitment, no upfront fees. You can play each week or whenever you want. It's all up to you, and you can win cash. They're paying out over $10 million every single week this NFL season, but you got to play if you want to win. FanDuel.com, you know what you do. You got to enter my code MOHR. The new user special, FanDuel is going to match you dollar for dollar on your first deposit up to $200. That's up to $200 for free. And the offer is only good for the first 50 listeners to this podcast that sign up using my code MORE, MOHR. FanDuel.com, and the code is MORE. Sign up today.
Geico presents Strange Savings Stories. Ken Marcus was making a pastrami sandwich when he noticed an odd pattern on a slice of pumpernickel bread, one that spelled out Geico. Ken found himself visiting Geico.com, saving hundreds of dollars on car insurance with great discounts. Later, Ken felt conflicted whether or not he should eat the slice of bread that saved him so much money. But he was so hungry.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Warriors, this is JJ. You know me. I'm excited to tell you about new sponsors that I believe in. I don't talk about anything I don't really use. Simply Safe, smarter home security. I didn't think home security could be this easy. I've wanted a system to protect my home for years, but it's always been a real big hassle. Most alarm companies that I reached out to, they wanted me to sign these crazy long-term contracts, hardwired systems. The sales guys were way too aggressive. Look, you don't need all that. What you need, Simply Safe, SIMPLI, Simply Safe. I can tell you how easy this is because all I did is I went online, I customized my system. A few days later, boom, it's at my doorstep, ready to go. And I'm not a tech-savvy guy. I'm an idiot. And I swear to you, it was up and running in 20 minutes. And everybody always says, if I can do it, you can do it. Trust me, if I can do it, you can do it. Best part about Simply Safe, no contracts, around-the-clock protection. $15? Are you kidding me? Most guys charge 5 times that. I can leave my contract anytime, but I'm not because I dig it. Simply Safe, and I want you to have the exact same protection that I have in my home. It's so easy. Go to simplysafej.com, and you're going to get 10% off. It's only $15, and they're throwing 10% off on top. simplysafej.com. 2 words, people. 2 words. Free snacks. Who wants a treat? I want a treat, yeah. I'm going to give you a chance to get free snacks. Drop the candy bar, drop the potato chips. They're not good for you. Do what I do. Get natural, delicious snacks at naturebox.com. NatureBox gives me hundreds of snacks. I'm not exaggerating. They sent me hundreds of snacks, and they are delicious. They got 0 artificial ingredients, 0 trans fats, 0 high fructose corn syrup. I don't know if you've seen pictures of me on my Instagram lately, but I'm looking good. I'm down 12 pounds, and this is why. You know, in the afternoon, you get all grouchy, you want something to eat, you want a cookie, you want... No, don't do that. Do what I do. Peanut butter num-noms from NatureBox. Baked sweet potato fries, my personal favorite. Wait till you try the dark cocoa almonds. So good, but so good for you. And I want to give you the chance to try NatureBox for free. Free. You like that word, don't you? Yeah, I got your attention. Sampler box featuring 5 of their most popular snacks. You heard me. Free snacks. Who wants a treat? Start your free trial. Go to naturebox.com/more, MOHR. Stay full, stay strong. Do what I do. Start snacking smarter. Lose the weight. You'll feel good. You're going to look good. Go to naturebox.com/more. Get a free sampler box of delicious snacks. You are welcome.
The thing we were talking about earlier, and of course, you guys go, why do you always say the name of the guest? It's because I work on radio, and it was hammering into my fucking skull from corporate to keep you got a new audience every 11 minutes, my man. You got to let them know what's going on. Let me know where you're coming from. Let me know where you're going.
Yeah. And you got to buy my book.
Carol Leifer, How to Succeed in Business Without Really Crying.
And you can listen to it, too. Audiobook.
Did you do your own audio?
Of course.
It's fun, right?
Yeah.
And they give you a few extra shekels.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, why doesn't everybody read their own books if you
I
get
know.
money?
Yeah.
Maybe because Stephen King writes 2,000-page books. And you and I are clocking in at 3:10. It's a little easier.
Yeah.
With the comedians, we were talking about social media and the snark. And, the idea, my utopia for comics is to say to any comic, first of all, we retweet each other's dates and we help each other.
Mm-hmm.
I really want to help everybody, as do you.
Yes.
Because you're one. If I was a freshman, you were a senior. I don't want to seem like you're this fucking old hag, but you were a senior to me. You're who I looked up to when I started. And when you were doing comedy, if Rich Hall and you and Paul didn't like something Bill Maher was doing, you all went to a diner and sat at one table and actually talked about it.
Yeah.
And that's people listening right now are like, wow, that'd be the weirdest thing in the world. If like these comics that I think have beef.
Well, it was the only way to communicate back then.
Yeah, and you couldn't spread
other than
word of
smoke
mouth.
signals.
Yeah, and there was no Twitter, so you couldn't just throw up the
right.
The shots fired. Shots fired.
Yeah, you know, I'm not that aware of the snark because I don't know. I'm not. Tell me more about what happens that's out there that's horrible.
I think it's more fans of comics pile on other comics.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no comic has ever said anything bad about me on Twitter.
Okay.
That's not what I'm really saying. But more so, for some reason, even though you guys were traveling and crisscrossing the country, you all seem to gather in this Seinfeld-like diner. And you all seem to be like this real camaraderie.
Yeah.
And there's not a name that you've mentioned that I've had to explain to the listener who they are.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's fascinating to me.
Yeah.
Like, I thought my crew was hot shit. like you're I mean, Seinfeld's the MC, and it's you, and it's Larry, David, and Larry Miller, and you know, and Paul and Bill. Like, it's just crazy.
Yeah, yeah. It was a rare time. I mean, I'm really happy that I came up when I did because of that crew. It was a really special time in stand-up.
There's always one person that you go, why didn't this person make it bigger? Like, because they were the funniest person.
Yeah.
Like Rick Overton you mentioned earlier.
Uh-huh.
I don't know why Rick Overton.
Did I mention him?
You did earlier.
Oh.
Right when we started.
Oh, okay.
She did, didn't she? I know she did. I'm not crazy.
I don't think
crazy.
so.
Good crazy.
Let's go to the transcript.
Ladies and gentlemen. Carol Leifer, hello. Like Rick Overton's a guy that I don't know why he's not on like his 9th sitcom, and each one has ran like 6 years. Like, he's genuinely one of the funniest and kindest human beings I've ever met.
And a great go-to actor. I mean, any time I've ever written on a show where you need someone, you don't have time to audition, you need someone who's going to deliver and do it quickly and well, call Rick Overton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Money in the Bank.
Right.
And just the kindest.
Yes, he is very sweet.
Exudes warmth, like human pot.
Uh-huh.
You just want to be around him because he makes you kind of giggly and feel funny and warm inside, and you want to hang out with him.
Mm-hmm.
Richard Belzer, I thought the advice he gave you in your book, How to Succeed in Business Without Really Crying, I thought was really good, and I wish I had a Richard Belzer in my life to tell me that sooner than like 4 years ago, because it got to me late. That
really?
When it's not going well, my go-to, and I think a lot of comics' go-tos, and I think people listening, they've seen many comics go, what's wrong with you people? What's going on? Like, you question the audience out loud as to what their problem is.
Uh-huh.
And you know, Carol, some of the best sets you've ever had, for an hour, you're going, geez, I'm not pulling the trigger.
Right.
I keep hitting the ball to the warning track. It's not
yeah.
going out.
Yeah.
And then you say goodnight and you get a standing ovation.
Uh-huh.
You're like, well, where the fuck was that the
I
whole
know,
time?
I know. It's
and they
true.
thought it's almost like a Broadway crowd. Like, they're watching a show.
Right,
They're not screaming like they're at Dave and Buster's playing skee-ball. They're enjoying a performance. Then they stand up.
Yeah.
But I thought what Belzer said to you was the best. And if you say it, it's better because it's your book.
Well, Belzer said, you're the pilot up there. And they kind of go by your cues. And if you look like you're taking a nosedive and you start to freak up there, they're going to too. So you set the tone when you're up there. So I always thought that was great advice. You know, the other thing I talk about in my book is I think comedians, besides having just a bond of kind of a similar personality, I always say to people, I trust comedians 10 times more than I do other people, just because when I meet another comedian, it's like, you do the same crazy work as me, and another comedian understands it better than any agent or manager ever will, who's never gotten up on stage. But the point I wanted to make is, I always find that comedians are very good people, because you know how you're with someone and you're sitting there with them and thinking they're telling a story and you're thinking, oh my God, don't they realize they are boring the person that they're telling the story? You know, they fell asleep 10 minutes ago and this person doesn't even have any sense. Comedians have amazing sense of this, because when you're on stage, it's exactly what you were talking about. You're monitoring the audience every second of, like, are they into it? Are they pulling back? Are they offended? Are they loud? Or whatever. You're always in tune with who you're talking to, which is a great quality for any business, to be in. I have a cousin who came to a show. I was opening for Seinfeld in San Diego, and he sent me a message afterwards. He said, I don't know if you could hear the audience or not, but you killed. It's like, I heard them. I heard I was killing way before you.
Yeah. They're facing me.
Yeah. But it's so funny, isn't it?
Yeah. And when I see like mediums on TV, I always think like comics could do that in their like 3 lessons.
Absolutely.
Practice. And any comedian out there that listens to like open micer,
right?
Pull a waitress aside, just vibe her out.
Yep.
And just go, wow, you come from a really long lineage of like really strong women.
Yeah.
Like every woman, and watch them start to nod, and then keep going, and they're gonna go, he like read my mind.
Yeah.
He's amazing. And I always say, like, I read rooms for a living, so one-on-one, you don't stand a chance. Like when somebody's bullshitting me in business. So when you put that in the book, I'm like, God, I love this book. It's so like everything you write, and again, each chapter is like a lesson. And I love what Belzer said, the pilot analogy, because I immediately just pictured Belzer as a pilot in the pilot outfit, come back on like, what the fuck's wrong with this jet?
Yeah.
We'll be lucky to make it to Baker. Chip. I got to get to this. I had an advance copy, and Carol was nice enough to bring a hardcover copy, and the advance copy is cool. It's going to be a collector's edition because there are pictures missing, and it'll say like image TK.
I know.
Which is, I guess, to be determined in Greek.
But there are so many great pictures in it. I kept everything.
First headshot,
First headshot, yes.
Chapter 2, my boss was a dick, even when you got to know him.
I work for a private eye.
I want. Oh, is that?
Yeah. I did.
I'm such a dick. Carol Leifer. What I really like, page 35, is I believe this is your first resume that you typed out. And I want to know how much, because we all embellish on our resumes.
Yeah.
But what's amazing about this is it's not that impressive. So I want to know which part was embellished.
I know.
Right.
No, it was not very impressive.
5'5", I'm going to say yes.
Yes.
Okay. Hair dark brown, eyes blue. I can say that's true. And it says Carol Leifer.
Well, now I'm a redhead.
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah, natural.
Yeah,
redhead.
I dig it. All natural. No, as soon as you came up the walk, I was like, check out the ginger. Actress / comedian. Okay, here we go. Currently appearing. So
currently appearing.
What you're working on right now. What year was this resume?
I would probably say 79.
Okay. Currently appearing, the Improvisation in Hollywood, California, the Comedy Store, Hollywood, California. I'm going to say both true.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't say 1 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday.
No.
But it's right there.
Does not. No.
Doesn't need to because it's true.
Right.
Television, Late Night with David Letterman.
Okay. So then it was, 82.
82 was this resume.
Yep.
So, by the way, as we go through here and break balls, I want people in comedy that are listening to this to realize that this was her resume in 1982, and how many years in were you?
5.
5. This is a lot of work, and it's to be commended.
Yeah.
Late Night with David Letterman, Evening at the Improv, which is always the one that they did here in Santa Monica.
Yes.
Or the Hollywood one.
Yes, and I still remember it because Vincent Price was the guest host, and he brought me on as Carol Leifer, and I was so ballless at that age that I didn't even have, the guts to say to Bud Friedman, like, he just mispronounced my name. Can you have him redo it? It was like, and now it airs. It's on the DVDs. Please welcome Carol Leifer.
You ever heard Michael McKean's Vincent Price impression?
No.
It's
Is it really good?
Yeah. You should just call him and say, could Jay Mohr send you?
Okay.
My host was, I don't remember, but I do remember they go, Bud, you do your set, blah, blah, blah. Then you exit this side.
Yeah.
And then Bud's going to give you a home version of the Evening at the Improv game. They had a board game the year I did it.
Yeah.
And then he's going to give you a big hug for the camera, and that's when we go to commercial. So the first guy goes up. Tim Allen went up. All these people went up. Norm Macdonald goes up. And they're all hugging Bud. And then I go up. I walk off stage. He hands me the game, and I go in for the hug. And there's like a handheld camera.
Yeah.
And he goes, I have a bad back. No, thank you. And then I like turned the camera and they go, cut, we're clear. And and then he hugged the guy after me.
Uh-oh.
And Bud and I are cool.
Right.
Yeah, but it was like the weirdest. I was 19. I'm like, what the fuck did I do to Bud Friedman?
Bad back
I have
comment.
a bad back. Please don't touch me. All right, so we even did the improv. That was correct. And your host was Vincent Price.
Right.
The big New York laugh. Actually, you know what? I think, you're a mensch. I think everything
so far,
I think
truthful.
I'm going to say everything on this is true.
New York laugh off. Just told you about it.
Yeah.
Beat
Did
Eddie
you lie
Murphy.
about any of this?
I don't think so. It's always the special
Toast
skills
of Manhattan
part.
ABC pilot.
Okay, yeah, that
Special
I did with
skills.
Paul Reiser.
I can tie a knot with a cherry stem. Good Morning New York, WABC
Yes,
New York.
I did do that.
No Soap Radio. What was that?
Oh, God, I don't remember.
Nice talking to you.
Yeah.
Book of Lists.
Another thing, very early on when I moved out to L.A.
Was it like a play, a TV show?
No, it was a TV show, I'm sure.
Regional and Stock. These are all theaters, obviously. Fiddler on the Roof.
Fiddler on the Roof. Yeah. Uh-huh. Seidel.
Are You Jewish? Good Man Charlie Brown.
I was in that in college, and I tore it up.
What college did you go to?
SUNY Binghamton.
You and Paul both went to SUNY Binghamton?
Yeah.
Amazing.
I forgot where you're from.
New Jersey, Rutgers.
Oh, okay.
Which right here, at Rutgers, you played the Comedy and Magic Club at Rutgers. Vassar University. That's what it says right here. Is that the part that's made up? Because there's no Comedy and Magic Club at Rutgers University.
No, there's a separate column.
Oh, college and club performances.
Right.
All right. Special skills, acting, BA in theater at Queens College, New York. Warren, you couldn't lie about that because they can check.
I'm going back to Queens College for their homecoming.
Really?
Seems like old times. Yeah. In October.
Are you just going to hang out? You
No, I'm speaking. I'm the keynote speaker, Jay.
Did they give you some shekels for that? Did
Yeah.
they pay? Really?
Uh-huh.
Atta girl.
Yeah. Look,
Queens
it's a
College,
city university, but come
There's
on.
no special skills here, Leifer. You led me down a rabbit hole.
Yeah,
with
I know. Usually it's like stick shift.
So everything I knew is legit. I feel like a jerk.
No, it's all real.
Why were you on Oprah?
You should be looking at the real book.
I know, but I
with
made notes
the
in this
real
one.
pictures. Okay. Why was I on Oprah?
Yes.
I was on Oprah 3 times. I was on first with the parade of young women comedians, myself, Rosie O'Donnell, Ellen DeGeneres, Margaret Smith, Ellen Cleghorn.
Oh, he's doing an impression of a lamb. She sounded like an Italian woman grieving at a funeral at
oh my God.
at read-throughs at Saturday Night Live.
Oh my God. So Ellen Cleghorn and I said Margaret Smith, right? Yeah, it was us.
And Ellen, who's now Ellen.
Right,
She's
exactly.
done okay for herself.
Yes.
Kid's got some legs.
You said it. And then I was on a few years ago with Jennifer Aniston.
My favorite.
She's great. You were in a movie with her.
Yeah, not a good time.
Oh, it wasn't?
No, she was awful.
Oh, really?
Do you want me to tell you?
Yes.
They've heard it.
No, I want to hear it.
I'm doing Jerry Maguire with Tom Cruise.
Yes,
the
you were
world's
brilliant.
The world's nicest, thank you. The world's nicest human being.
Okay.
Uber present Tom, professional.
Yes.
Knows everybody's name, knows everyone's lines.
Wow.
Chipmunk farts and all at the Dean. He's like, I don't know, I got it. And he's got like sound battery packs in his vest. He's nuts.
Yeah. Wow.
I'm doing Picture Perfect at the same time. Audition for Picture Perfect. I'm only speaking very quickly because maybe they've heard it.
Okay.
You know what? Fuck it. Listen
never
to it again.
hear it enough.
A-holes. Listen to it again. Hey, you know what?
Humor me.
Why don't you buy tickets September 20th to see me at the Strass Center in Tampa before you break my balls about the fucking Jennifer Aniston story? Improv in Orlando that same week.
Nice.
Come on, dicks. West Palm, Fort Lauderdale. Just go to jimware.com for the days. So I auditioned. It was a Tuesday. I was supposed to go to a Yankee game. And I'm like, you know what? I might meet you guys there. I got this audition. I get a call back. I screen test. First day of rehearsal at Silver Cup Studios in Queens.
Yes.
I'm sitting there with Ileana Douglas and Jennifer Aniston's very, very, very late, where people are like freaking out.
Mm-hmm.
She walked. It's me and Ileana Douglas sitting just like how you and I are sitting. A couple of pals. She's been on the podcast. She's wonderful.
Okay.
Jennifer Aniston walks in like clank, 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 like with boots in an empty studio, and she's pissed. And she walks directly up to Ileana Douglas and goes, 6 guys. 6 guys they screen test. The one guy I don't like.
Oh, my God.
This guy. And I'm right where you here.
Really?
6 guys.
Oh, my God. And she said this in front of everybody?
About the director was there,
Yeah.
2 producers, a couple wardrobe people. But she said it in front of me.
Right.
I don't give a shit about everybody else.
Yes.
What people say behind my back is none of my business.
Oh, my God.
And then she storms off. And that's how it started. That was the first day of rehearsal.
Wow.
We did slow dancing, the little wedding scene when we're dancing in the wedding. And then they would go, and cut. And we'd be like dancing nice and like cute and snuggly.
Yeah, yeah.
And she would turn to the table with like Faith Prince, Broadway legend, Kevin Dunn, who's the best, Ileana Douglas. And she'd point and go, see?
Oh, my God.
And this happened like, there's 17 takes and the thing, and you got to switch the angle. I drove to my mom's house in New Jersey, I put my head in my mother's lap, and I cried. I was 26 years old, and she made me cry.
Oh, Jay.
So Jennifer Aniston, or anybody that knows Jennifer Aniston, come on this podcast.
Oh, wow.
And explain to me why you were so fucking mean to me, because I didn't know what I was doing.
I'm really in shock.
And I'm sure she's nice, but not to me.
Oh, my God. That's very disappointing.
Those 2 months, she didn't like the hitch in my giddy up.
So that it didn't change through the shoot.
You know what's funny is there was like a week left, and me and the director were not getting along at all. But that was just my own private hell, and I kept it to myself. And then we like almost came to blows, and now we're wonderful friends.
Who is the director?
Glenn Gordon Caron. He's fantastic.
Oh, from Moonlighting.
Yes, he created Moonlighting. He's great, and he wanted that kind of chemistry between me and Jen Aniston of like Bruce Willis and Sybil Shepherd, but only one of us was like the other one.
Wow.
So I think it was hard for him, and he was getting very frustrated. So we actually almost fist fought. We went into the bathroom of the St. Regis Hotel.
Oh, my God.
Like, he kicked over a garbage can and said,
wow.
And what he said to me rang very true, because I knew what he was saying was true. He goes, I fucking fought for you. And you're fucking breaking my balls. It was something like I said something shitty to him in front. It was the day the studio shows up.
Yeah.
And they put pressure on you, And I go, you know what? You're right. But he had grabbed me, and we had to straighten that shit out. And then like guys, we hugged over. Not like over and like Housewives. It kind of comes back for the finale. Like, it's completely over. And if I saw him, I'd give him a big hug and a kiss. And then that afternoon, she leans over to me and puts her hand on my arm and goes, can you fucking believe this guy?
Oh.
And I looked at her and I was like, I think he's the best. But if she caught me 4 hours earlier, we probably would have dated.
Wow. Wow.
Like,
that is a great story.
Should have just been nicer. Anybody listening, be nice 4 hours earlier. In someone's life. All right, so you're on Ellen. Forget about me.
Yeah.
Let's talk about me some more. I want to know about you being on Oprah 3 freaking times. That's pretty impressive.
It was really great. And
First
especially,
time with the comic with the ladies.
Right. Second was with Jennifer Aniston, the directors from Glamour, Real Moments. Glamour magazine sponsored this program where I got to direct a little movie in New York City. It was fantastic. And
what was I don't know this.
Yeah, it was. I think they still do it. I directed this little movie with Jamie Lynn Sigler and Matthew Morrison before he became a star on Glee.
Yeah.
So that was really fun. But I mean, to shoot a movie, even a small one in New York, and have them shut the subway down for you to shoot, it was very, very cool.
Yeah.
But anyway,
So both times
de boudoir. But I tell one of the stories in the book about the Oprah thing, because here's how I got on Oprah that second time. Okay, I wanted to be part of this Glamour Real Moments thing like nobody's business. So I pursued it, and I got my agent to get me a meeting on it. And I had a great meeting.
Was that Shecky's?
No, I'd moved past Shecky at this point. This is like, I'm at CAA. This is a good time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I met on doing this Real Moments thing. And they were like, the agent said afterwards, great meeting, but they're all booked. They don't need anybody for Real Moments. So maybe they'll think about you for next year.
Now, Real Moments, forgive me.
REEL Moments.
It's just I just don't remember this from the book for some reason.
Yeah.
Is this a series of shorts?
Series of shorts that Glamour sponsors
and where
with
did
women
it air?
directors. It went to film festivals.
Okay.
And, all that kind of stuff.
And
it
Jennifer
was very
Aniston
cool.
directed one.
Jennifer Aniston
You directed one.
Yes.
Who else?
Bryce Dallas Howard.
Uh-huh.
And
Ron Howard's daughter.
Right. And I think the other woman was Andrea Buchanan, who did it with Jennifer Aniston.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway.
So it's hot shit. It's cool.
Yeah,
it's
I wanted to get it. But
yeah.
when you're joining me now in this story, I've been turned down. And then 6 months later, they call and they go, somebody just dropped out, so we have room for Carol. So I got to, do the real moments. But my point of the story is when you pursue things that you're passionate about, it always somehow benefits you, because even though they're already booked up, they remember me for later, and I got to slide in on an opening that hadn't been there before. So it's always pursue what you're passionate about, because even if you don't get something then, who knows what happens 6 months later or a year later.
One of the lessons in the book that I took, How to Succeed in Business Without Really Crying by Carol Leifer, that you can buy on Amazon through the jmohr.com banner, is you do life kicks you in the nuts. There's no way around it.
Absolutely.
And you've taken your fair amount of shots, but you really struck me in the book, and I've known you for 1 hour and 5 minutes at this point, including when you got here and we both peed. But you really strike me as somebody that just completely goes with the flow. However, you're one of the very few people, or maybe the first person, that you go with the flow, yet somehow, I don't know if it's the illusion of going with the flow or the illusion of just never taking no for an answer, but somehow you do both of those. That's the dichotomy of you.
Yeah.
You go with the flow, but you never stop hammering away, and you never take no for an answer. And I never met anybody like that.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm surprised.
Who goes with the flow and never takes no? Going with the flow is like, they said no, fucking, I'm on to the next thing.
Yeah.
But you never. There's so many stories in this book where you're just like, call him again.
Yep.
Call him again.
Yep.
I'll be a pain in the ass. Call him
right.
again.
There's 100 doors, and 99 can be closed, and 1 can be open.
But how do you know? Like, at what point do you just go, you know what? I'm going to go back to that cruise ship where Shecky called me about Sinatra. Apparently, that's my lucky place.
Because there's no other way to approach, I don't think, just show business or business. You have to be tenacious every day. Because the second they get you, they get at you, it's over.
What do you mean, the second they get at you or get you?
Like, if I'm not... You can get defeated by all the rejection, and you can go to sleep at night and go, yeah, maybe they're right. Maybe I'm not that good. Maybe I'm not that talented. Maybe I have really nothing to offer. But my theory is you have to be your own biggest fan every day. And that doesn't mean you're an asshole and you're a big egomaniac. It's just if I don't think I can, I know I have so much to give still this many years in the business, so much to offer, so many laughs still to give people all that. If I don't think that, I got to be the leader of the fan club or else it's over.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I completely agree. It's like when you pitch a TV show and the network says no, it's like, well, the only reason I came here was because it was such an amazing idea that I decided to reach out to you, the network, because I thought we'll all get rich.
Yeah.
Norton, I had it. We all had it. Like I had a Jackie Gleason crazy kitchen moment.
Yeah.
And then you're saying, no, like that makes no sense to me. And I refuse to. You have to be wrong. I can't be wrong. Otherwise, I'll kill myself.
You always have to believe that what you bring to the table is worthwhile, valuable, and worth people's time. I mean, I have a sample as a pilot, okay? I just think it's a funny story about it. I pitched it to all the networks and nobody wanted it. I had a deal with DreamWorks at the time, and Jeffrey Katzenberg, the wonderful head of DreamWorks, said to me, I like this idea so much. Screw the networks. Just write it. Just write it and we'll sell it. And I wrote it, and it's been at every network since. It's never been made, but it's been optioned by every network. And it's still... just now got optioned by 2 more producers. Sabrina Wynn.
Right after Duck Dynasty. You're going to land someplace so bizarre, knowing your career trajectory and where you've been.
Right.
It'll land someplace that you can't even fucking believe that's the. But
it'll be wild.
Yeah, but you'll get a check and you won't care.
That's right, and it'll be like, you know what? I never gave up on this, and so the second I give up on that, it would be over, and I never did.
Well, the third time you're on Oprah.
Third time
you only
on
did 2
Oprah
times.
was for my first book, which was called "When You Lie About Your Age, the Terrorists Win." And people should pick that one up. But of course, also please pick up How to Succeed in Business Without
Let's
Really
keep
Crying.
It real simple for everybody. Because this is out right now.
It
came
is.
out in April.
Yeah.
And I know from writing books, the publishers, and I'm talking to you guys now, this is how the publishing industry works. After a month goes by, they're like, well, that's it. It's a hit. Or that's it. We didn't make our money.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's like a classic, if it becomes Catcher in the Rye, it's that first boom.
Right.
That first kick is what makes everybody salivate and pigs at the trough happy. Like piggies, like George Harrison said.
Yeah.
So now is when you got to go, look, you can use the Amazon banner. Buy it wherever you want, however, on your Kindle or whatever thing you use, whatever app you use. But I put my name on it. This book is really, really great. And I would love for you to share, since we're rounding third here with my listeners. Now, your listeners, literally.
Yes, I like your listeners.
Your Saturday night, they're fantastic. And
I can feel it.
They'll come see you do stand-up, and they'll tell you they heard you. They're like the most you know what? Apparently what was missing from this medium, and over on my radio show, just positivity.
Where was your really?
I do sports talk nationally, Mohr Sports, which is fun. 9 to noon every day. It's the best. And because it's national, I can go to any city and do stand-up. And I just do my show, and then I go do my show at night.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason, just positivity.
Wow.
Never throwing another comic under the bus. Just, I can shit-talk Diana Ross because she's a supreme. She's earned it. But, just positivity.
Mm-hmm.
Keep it positive. Just working in the light and moving shit around. That people have really responded to
Absolutely.
that. They know you're a good egg because you're sitting here. And they can tell that you're a good gal.
Thank you.
But I do need to hear your Saturday Night Live story.
Okay, my SNL story, because
those are the biggest hits on this podcast.
Really,
any SNL story, that's the moneymaker.
Well, I also tell this story in the book in the context of a very, very important business lesson, which is always please the boss and not the number 2 and the number 3. Because what happened was I auditioned for SNL. And I was hired by Al Franken, now Senator Al Franken.
Yeah, it's scary.
And Jim Downey, who I'm sure was head writer when you were there.
Best person that I never saw in my life.
You're kidding.
He was always in his office.
Wow. These guys loved me, loved my audition, wanted to hire me as a writer. They said, go meet Lorne Michaels at this rehearsal studio. I literally met him for a minute.
Hello, Carol.
That was it. He said, we have late nights on Tuesday nights. I said, yes, I'm aware of that. Okay. All right. Well, nice to meet you. You can do the impression.
Aaron, could I have another M so light, please? Will you show Carol to the elevator? No. Will you cancel Skid Row's second song?
Okay. So I'm on the show. I'm doing good.
You were hired as a writer.
I was hired as a writer.
That's great.
Yet all the time, I always felt like Lorne never really took to me. I just never felt any support from him when I would make pitches Monday nights in the office with the guest host. I never just, when people take to you and when they don't. But I wasn't troubled by it, Jay, because I felt like, well, Al Franken and Jim Downey love me. That's okay. I'm doing well with them. So I would see Lorne in the hall. I'd turn the other way. Maybe walk the other way. I kind of avoided him. I kind of flew under his radar, thinking, well, I'm liked by 2 other very important people here. And yet, at the end of the season, what do you think happened, Jay? Mommy wasn't invited back to the show.
Poor Mommy. Did they do the classic, we're not extending your option phone call? Did they say you're fired? Was it the ambiguity that we all go through of am I back or not?
It was not even, I don't even think I was officially, I even called Lorne because I still had a pretty big set of balls back then, 20 years ago. I called him because I knew he was in L.A. and I was in L.A. just to kind of ask him, like, hi, how are you? Am I coming back to the show? He never returned my call. But
that's a ballsy voicemail.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. Well, I'm always big on the call.
And you never know. He might get that. I'm being serious. He might listen to that voicemail and turn to go, Marcy Klein, why isn't Carol Leifer coming back?
Yeah.
Like, you don't know.
You don't know.
Were you getting sketches on?
I was getting sketches on. Yeah. I just learned that very important lesson, which was now I would have played it completely differently. I would have been like, Lorne Michaels doesn't like me, and there's not a really good reason for that. I should really show him that I'm really his type of person and funny and can deliver instead of avoiding him. And I think that's a rookie mistake of someone at work who's a little insecure. I shouldn't have done that. I kind of ran away from Lorne instead of,
So
strutting
the
my
life
stuff.
lesson in the book is if you got a superior that you think maybe doesn't like you, maybe just go up and shake that person's hand and go, I don't think you like me.
Right.
But
Or
I
I'm
like
going
you.
to and I'm going to get you to like me because I definitely have the goods. So something is off here, buddy. But
I don't know if you want to say that out loud.
No.
If you work in sales, if you're like John Candy in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Like I picture that kind of
No,
guy. Like,
it's more the mindset. Yeah.
Yeah, the mindset is there.
Yeah, the mindset.
But you go, I don't know, it's just getting a feeling. Maybe
Right.
you get up on the wrong foot, you shake the guy's hand.
Yeah.
Any sketches you got on that we would know?
But I just have to tell you a funny
Please
story
do.
before we do that.
I like funny stories.
Because when my book came out, I went on Howard Stern and I was talking about this SNL story and how Lauren never took to me. And doesn't it always happen that weekend I'm in L.A. and I'm out to dinner and who is sitting at E. Baldy on Cannon in Beverly Hills 2 feet away from me? Lorne Michaels.
Did you say hi?
Yeah, well, I said to my people I was with, of course, I was like, I'm going to come over and say hello to Lauren. I said, hi, Lauren. I said, I have a story about you in my book, really how I fucked up my SNL job. He said, oh, no, I've heard of it. He had heard
Carol,
about it.
I'm eating gnocchi.
I'm eating gnocchi.
I'm eating gnocchi. The Y is silent.
But he was very nice. He said, you've done fine. It's okay.
I never had a problem with Lauren because, and I wrote in my book, out of 50 million comedians, for some reason that year he went, I like that one. Mm-hmm. So just the fact that he hired me, it was up to me.
Yeah.
Like I fucked me up more than anybody else. Like nobody held me back or sabotaged me. Like the people always like, I heard it's crazy up there. Yeah, it's crazy up there because you have to do a 90-minute live show inexplicably in 3 days.
Right.
Why don't they do all the commercial parodies over the summer?
Yeah, I know.
Why is the host's monologue written Saturday when they're the last one into the hockey fight? Like maybe have something prepared for them.
Absolutely.
But
I did have some sketches on. That Black Girl with Denitra Vance, the takeoff of That Girl with the Black Girl. I wrote that with a few other people there, but
I
that
liked
was
the sketch,
on.
and the whole time I was watching that sketch, I'm like, I wish more people knew what That Girl was.
Yeah,
because
I know.
it's a perfect sketch.
Yeah. I did a thing with...
That Girl, very famous sitcom from back in the day. She throws her hat in the air. It's That Girl. And so,
That.
You hear all that noise?
Yeah.
We don't take any of it out.
You don't?
No, why?
Okay.
This is what it's like when you talk in your garage.
Neighborhood noise.
Hear the crickets.
I hear the crickets.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah.
No,
It's good in your garage. It's not good on stage.
Let me tell
ladies
you,
and gentlemen.
Folks, veal parmesan. Just veal parmesan.
Oh. That was part of a whole hunk. It was like, I like a guy who goes to International House of Backaches and orders veal parmesan. I like a guy who holds my hair when I throw up.
Yeah. I like a guy that does that for me. As well. I had so many. Usually, Carol Leifer, when a guest comes on, I have this notebook and I have a whole bunch of like bullet points. But with your book, I literally just go to the dog-eared pages and go, "Oh God!" It's because it's all just good stuff, and it's a great book. The show about nothing taught me something. I don't know if people realize you wrote for Seinfeld.
Yes, I wrote for Seinfeld, people.
And that's you heckled by Stephen Hawking. Like pretty much all the look at this sweet picture of you and Paul Reiser. Of course, Paul's in the skinny tie. The pictures are great. If you're a fan of stand-up comedy, it's just a great book. And I love look at Jerry on his motorcycle.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
Uh-huh.
It's worth it for Jerry's Jufro motorcycle tight jeans
I
photo.
know. Isn't that wild?
In the middle.
Yeah.
There's not just one thing, Carol.
There's not just one thing, Jay. And that goes back to what you were saying about my being in this business and staying, enduring in this business for so long. There's not just one thing. You know when he said that to me? I had my sitcom in 1997, All Right Already, on the WB. And, oh my God, you get your own sitcom. And it's like, oh my God, this is amazing. Oh my God. And he saw me before we started to shoot. And I was so nervous because it's like, this is it. This is it. And Jerry turned to me and said, Carol, there's not just one thing. And I knew what he was talking about. It was like you build everything up. This is it. This is the one night. This is it. There's many, many nights over a long career. You never make it about one thing. It's all the experiences over a long period of time. And you'll only freak yourself out if you make it, this is the one thing that has to happen.
Yeah. I've always said, because you know this, when you do radio, they're always like, what was your big break?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, if you have one big break in your life, you're not doing well. Like anybody, especially comedians, like you have 35 huge breaks.
Right.
And maybe like 100 like pretty big breaks.
But your big film break, don't you think, was definitely Jerry Maguire?
Oh, well, it was also my first.
That's crazy.
I just got shot out of a cannon, but it also ensured that everything was a disappointment. Because I thought like, well, this is great. You make a movie, makes $300 million. You work with the biggest star in the world, and Picture Perfect did okay. Mm-hmm. And then after that, it's just like a lot of indie cool cred. I wouldn't trade places with anybody. I'm sitting here talking to you, and I'm having the time of my life, and there's crickets and cars going by, and I mean that. It's a great book, and there isn't just one thing. And in this book, there's a billion things. And I feel like we've always like hung out before. And that's when you see Carol out on the road, go tell her hi, and you'll immediately get the energy that I got the second we were in the house.
Yeah, we were in the house.
Carol Leifer and I were in my house alone together, and neither one of us knew it. I'm at my kitchen, pulling up the Amazon banner to read from that guy. And then you were in you were powdering your nose, I believe.
I was in the can.
Carol was taking a shit. And then I hear you go by and I go, Carol? And you go, Jay? And then I circled around the pantry and you went around the other way like a French farce.
I know.
About 4 minutes
here
we were
are.
in this house, not seeing
and
each
I think
other.
before this discussion, I know I've spent time with you elsewhere because I knew that, oh, Jay, of course I want to do this. But that's what I mean about comics. We haven't spent really
We've
any
never
considerable.
spent time together.
Yeah.
When Buddy Hackett moved into his house on Whittier, he heard Bob Newhart lived down the street.
Yeah.
So in his robe, like one night at 1 a.m, he was half in the bag, and he just started walking down the street. And his wife Sherry goes, "Where are you going?" He goes, "Bob Newhart lives right 4 houses down the road." And she goes, "You can't just show up at his house. You've never met." And he goes, "We're comics. You don't understand."
Right.
And that's how it is.
It is. It is like that.
I feel like I've known you my whole life. But we've never, I don't think we've ever met.
No, we have met. We have met.
Where?
I don't know, because I saw you somewhere and I wanted to tell you how much I liked your book. And I did that, wherever that was.
New York, LA, nothing?
I don't remember now.
Corey, do you have any idea where? No? Corey doing the engineering today.
Yeah.
Well done, my love, and thank you. So if you have any complaints, I don't care.
Send your complaints.
It's Corey's fault.
You have me doing your podcast the night that tomorrow is trash day.
Yeah,
because I'm hearing they're rolling out the trash cans.
Yeah. You know what goes in the trash cans? All the books that I don't give a shit about.
Really?
These right here. They stay right here.
Jay! I just adore you. I just adore you.
Where can people go to find you and where you're doing stand-up and your Twitter and stuff like that?
You know, I'm really now, I'm pitching a show, so I don't really have any dates right now that I can tell.
Hold on. You kind of have like the best comedic life. Like, I'm just doing sitcoms that I created, and every once in a while Jerry Seinfeld calls and goes, "Hey, would you like to open for me in South Beach?" And then Paul Reiser will call, and then this guy.
Yeah. Well, it is all pretty nice. I would say to come see me at Queens College for homecoming, but you have to be an alumni to see me over there.
Oh, they'll hop the walls, these people.
Yeah.
You don't understand.
Really? Well, go to my website because I'm putting up all my fall dates will be on. Yes. L-E-I.
L-E.
Yeah.
L-E-I.
F-E-R.
That's why it's Lee, because when two vowels go walking together, the first one says his name.
I did not know that.
Carol Leifer.
Look at you with the Very.
Second grade. I got an 880 combined on my SATs. I'm a card-carrying moron. But I remember weird things like stand-up acting, sports figures, and friends like Carol Leifer that have great books. And this was great. As soon as your name came across my desk, I'm like, yeah, why hasn't this happened yet?
I love it. I love it.
And next time you see Lauren.
What am I going to say?
How's the gnocchi?
How's the gnocchi?
It is the perfect Lauren word.
It is the perfect. You nailed it.
No. If we could have... Why isn't he eating gnocchi in this case? Does it have to be spaghetti bolognese named gnocchi? The best. And again, Carol Leifer, great writer. I guarantee you will love this book. Go buy it.
You're the best. You're the best.
We love each other.
We do.
Look at this. It's a shidduch.
It is.
It is. To close it out.
Look at you non-Jew.
More stories. Put your name on it.
She's so strange, and she wore a black mustache, and she filled with